This video was created in partnership with NordVPN. Hear me out. I have a question for all of you to very seriously consider. Why don't we as a culture wear more armor? You may say it has no practical application because we're not riding into battle with the cavalry and we don't have swords being thrust into us. May I instead present for your consideration the possibility of fashion? Have you considered fashion? I think a lot of us Ren-Fair degenerates have been considering fashion even more over the last couple of years. And a lot of us are just beginning to say, why not? Why not armor over my pretty sundress? Why not epaulets with my t-shirt? Why shouldn't I wear greaves to go to the Sam's Club? I have yet to find a valid reason not to do any of these things. So today, I would like to try to create some casual armor. So of course this idea is not wholly original. Rachel Maxey made a video like this a couple of years ago where she attempted to make casual armor.
And I've gotten so inspired by those videos and a bunch of other fashion creators on the internet that I want to try to make some of my own casual armor too.
So for the items that I want to make this week, I want to follow my casual chainmail up by making an item that I didn't get a chance to make in this video, and that is a long chainmail skirt. I've seen these on the Pinterest. They look absolutely majestic, but it's gonna take a little time. I want to get a little bit into the territory of actual armor, but using cosplay supplies because I don't have a forge or anything, unfortunately. But I really would like to see if I can figure out how to wear a little hip piece, like an armor corset belt type situation, maybe a bit of a casual breastplate. Like, I'm kind of just thinking vest, but make it armor. I also do like the idea of making genuine pauldrons or epaulets that I could like try to style casually with an outfit. So with all of my very lofty goals in mind, let's see if we can actually narrow things down and get designing.
So based on my general design goals, I took to Clip Studio and started sketching out some possibilities. It should come as no surprise to any of you that one of the things that spurred my desire to make armor this week was Chappell Roan's vmas look for her Good Luck Babe performance, as well as many of the pieces from Falconeer Shop on Instagram that keep popping on my feed, and just all the lovely armor ladies in the cosplay community. I began by sketching out a ton of rough ideas that have been floating around my head as pieces that would be fun to style with more fantasy-inspired looks for the channel, or just more casual everyday outfits if I can manage them. A few pieces I came up with include, of course, the chainmail skirt, a breastplate, a corset with some hip plates, some spulky pauldrons, spiky cuffs, a chainmail epaulette and gorget set, and an armor girdle thing that I haven't quite figured out how to make yet. I'm definitely not going to get to all of these in this video, but I'm going to try to tackle as many designs as I can, and I'll save the rest for a future video.
But before we get too deep into it, I may be trying to bring some fantasy to my life by wearing armor casually in the 21st century, but unfortunately there isn't anything fantastical about the many cybersecurity threats we all face on a daily basis. For example, I'm going on vacation soon to visit my family for the holidays, which means I might have to use free public Wi-Fi while I'm out of town. But whenever I'm connecting to a random Wi-Fi network, like one called Cafe Free Wi-Fi at the local coffee shop, it might actually be a fake network set up as part of an evil twin man-in-the-middle attack, trying to harvest my sensitive data while I browse the web. Thankfully, this video's partner NordVPN can protect my privacy when browsing the web by encrypting my online traffic at all times and masking my IP address to prevent cybercriminals from being able to access my data. Using a VPN also allows for greater anonymity online by hiding your browsing activity, identity, and location, and when you purchase a plan through my link, nordvpn.com/PricklyAlpaca, you'll get in on their best deal yet that's only available through creators. Phishing is another example of something I deal with on a daily basis as someone who has a publicly available business email address, but NordVPN's Threat Protection Pro can recognize malicious links and warn me about dangerous websites before I even click on them. Threat Protection Pro also covers threats like malware, malvertising, ransomware, and DDoS by masking your IP, scanning downloaded files, warning you about dangerous websites, and blocking pop-up ads for a smoother browsing experience. But NordVPN doesn't just protect you from malicious threats, it can also help you to access the content you love. I've really been in need of some comfort content lately, and I've been specifically craving a return to Middle-earth, but the Lord of the Rings trilogy is not available on US Netflix, but it is available on Australian Netflix. So all I have to do is use NordVPN to switch to an Australian server, and bam, I have now tricked Netflix into thinking I live in Australia and I can watch the Lord of the Rings trilogy whenever I want. So if you're in the market for a VPN to protect your internet privacy and security, you can get an extra 4 months on top of the purchase of a 2-year plan when you use my link nordvpn.com/PricklyAlpaca. You can try NordVPN risk-free with their 30-day money-back guarantee. That's right, if you don't like it, you will get your money back. Again, my link is nordvpn.com/PricklyAlpaca. Thank you so much once again to NordVPN for partnering with me in my ongoing pursuit of becoming an armor-clad lady. Now let's get back to it. there. It's day one of this ill-conceived, overly ambitious plan to try to make as much armor as I possibly can in a week. And I very clearly have my work cut out for me, but at least my moral support is actually participating. Can you say hi? Are you purring? Also, if my voice sounds weird, I'm currently experiencing my regularly scheduled weather gets cold the first week of November, and then my body gets sick and tries to attack and kill me. So for all of the chainmail that I plan on making in this video, the obvious first step is to make about a bajillion European foreign ones so that I can prep those and not have to do nearly as much work whenever I'm actually stringing it together. So I'm going to continue doing that, and then I'll get back to you about the actual chainmail bits. Look at all this, and for all of these, this took like an hour. Why do I do this to myself? So while off-camera Kira is enduring the punishment of prepping chainmail rings, I have gone and printed off some patterns for the actual armor pieces that I want to make. I have Pauldron Pattern and Breastplate Pattern. But there's still several other items that I want to make in this video that I have not yet created patterns for, one of which is this sort of like armor corset situation. I need to pattern little arm cuffs. There's one other thing that I'm forgetting, isn't there? Let's do it. So I was going to use a pre-existing corset pattern for the corset that I want to make, but after perusing my storehouses, I haven't really found anything that I actually want to use. Like, all the patterns that I have either end right here or like all the way down here, and that's not gonna really work for the cut that I have in mind. So folks, do you feel it? It's that time again. I'm gonna wrap myself in duct tape and saran wrap. I'm really hoping I don't need a helper for this part because I don't got one. So now that I have been encased in my chrome tube, gotta draw the pattern on. I need one of those cast saws that they have that's not able to cut skin. Before we move any further, we need to take a moment to acknowledge the life and loss of my very first heat gun, who, ironically enough, isn't doing so hot anymore. I finally broke it. Enter the new kid on the block. Welcome to the channel. So now that my pieces are assembled, I'm going to take some crop foam and hot glue, and I'm just going to add some borders and edges to things and just a little bit of detail. That way the pieces look a little bit more finished and not quite as flat, because right now they don't look like much. I also need to take my awl and punch some holes in things so that I can actually do fastenings. Looks like a Pop-Tart, I'm not gonna lie. Okay, I now have all of my armor built, decorations applied, holes for my spikes prepped, but it is looking just a little bit lumpy bumpy. It needs just slightly more prep before I actually go and spray paint it silver, so I am going to prime it with a clear acrylic glaze. And I've used this a lot. I think this is what I've also used in the past to seal all of my like porcelain corset sets and make it really, really glossy. This goes on really, really thick, so my hope is that adding a layer of this will cover up a couple of my bumps and give it a much smoother finish. The corset in particular is looking a little heinous, which I'm not super happy with because that doesn't usually happen whenever I work with Worbla, but I'm hoping this helps a little bit, and if not, I might do something to cover it up. I'm not entirely sure yet, but hopefully this works to prime it, and then I can actually get into painting. Okay, so next, because I know that it's going to take me an eternity to complete it, I need to get started on the chainmail skirt. So since the style of skirt that I'm doing is kind of like high slits on the side, mostly just a long rectangle of chainmail in the front and back, there's not a whole lot of technique or method to it. It's just kind of making like a really long, wide section of chainmail. But that does involve prepping like a frick ton of rings. So I began by like a week ago prepping like an entire bag of 4-in-1s in the standard size that I use, and then once I finished that first bag, I moved on to the other bags that I ordered, which turned out to actually be an entirely different size and gauge. I must have ordered those by mistake because I didn't notice, and I meant to order the same ones that I had before. But I think that's actually going to be a really good thing in the long run because the bigger size and gauge will mean that I have a little bit less weaving to do. It's going to cover a lot more surface area than the smaller rings that I have. I've already done a couple of practice sections, and of course the weaving time for the smaller rings versus the bigger rings is just no contest. So even though they are not the size I intended, I'm kind of glad that I ordered them on accident because I don't know if it would be possible for me to get it done this week otherwise. So now I have an entire basket of the 1/2-inch rings prepped and also an entire basket of the bigger rings prepped, and a big thank you to my partner for sitting for hours with me watching Bridgerton and helping me prep these rings. So with all that ready, it is just time to get weaving and go as fast and long as I possibly can. So thankfully, even though I procrastinated this process in favor of getting some of my other armor pieces prepped and done, I did manage to weave like basically the entire skirt in one day. It's not quite done yet, but it's like really getting there. It's to the point where I'm like, okay, we have a skirt. There's just like a couple more tweaks and things that I want to do to it. You guys want to see? So this is what the skirt is looking like so far. It's obviously got really good length. I didn't think that I would have time to make it quite this long, so I'm really happy about that. I like the style, it sits in a good place. I'm really happy with it overall, but I don't think I'm going to stop here. There's still a couple of little things that I would like to do to improve it a little bit. If I have time, I think I would like to go in and widen each panel by maybe one set of rings on each side. I think that that's definitely more crucial on the back. I think the back would just look a little bit better if it was wider than the front. I think it just like makes sense for a skirt like this. And then the other thing that I would like to do, one of my main sources for chainmail inspiration is Falconeer Shop on Instagram. They make the most beautiful chainmail accessories and jewelry pieces. I'm absolutely obsessed. And a couple of the skirts that they've made has sort of chain straps going across the side. It drapes to create like side slit effect while still having like something on the sides here, because I feel like this overall, for the amount of weight going on, is definitely not going to be strong enough to hold this up. I purchased some little jewelry spikes, and I would like to add spikes along kind of the bottom edge of the chainmail on the front and the back. And then I also might do that on the bottom edge of the side chain situation as well. Let me go forth and make a couple of these changes and see what I think about it. So I just got finished trying to tweak the corset and cover it in UV resin because bumps started to really bother me. That's never really happened to me before, where I was trying to like heat up and shape one of my Warbler armor pieces and the poster board itself kind of gave out. It did kind of happen on my like cathedral vampire costume that I just finished making, and I think the reason why it's starting to happen is because the poster board that is being carried at the place where I usually get it seems like it's significantly lower quality than what it used to be. It used to be a lot thicker, so it wasn't going to like warble or like wrinkle whenever you apply heat to it or you try to like shape it. So that's annoying. I think my lesson learned this week is we find a new place to buy our poster board, or maybe I can just start using foam or canvas. I like the poster board though because it is cheap and I do end up using so very much of it. So at this point I am very nearly done with all of these armor pieces. I am especially so happy with how this is coming out. Hey.
Piss off, ghost!
Don't you dare stoop to my level like this. Is it dangerous and impractical? Sure. But so am I. And also something about this, it feels like it's channeling the Chappell Roan vmas look mixed with pit fighter vibe. That's like kind of the aesthetics that are coming in to have this as their beautiful little love child. So at this point, a couple of these just need some fastenings, which will be the very last step, but I wasn't sure whether or not I wanted to weather this at first because I do kind of want it to look like cool, pristine type brand new armor, because I feel like that's a little bit more in line with the concept of jewelry, and that is the only way I would be able to get away with wearing any of this in public. If I was like, it's like jewelry, but not at all, you know what I mean? But looking at it, just metallic paint really doesn't cover up anything, does it? So I am gonna go in, do just a little wash on this to weather it a little bit. Take some of the imperfections and push them into the background.
Push it somewhere else!
So I think all I'm gonna do for this is I'm gonna take some brown and black airbrush paint. I'm gonna mix it with some distilled water and put it in my airbrush. That way I can kind of do surface area and then like wipe it away. Does that sound good?
Montage.
To rig up the pauldrons, I concocted some old bag straps into a shape that would fit around my arms, attached the pauldrons to those with a little bit of warbler, and then painted those with a little glossy black. And after a final acrylic clear coat to seal in all of the weathering detail I just did, I added some fastenings to the breastplate with some lobster claws and spare chainmail rings. And also did the same thing with those hip plates. And surprisingly enough, that means that all of the armor pieces that I made in this video are finally done, which is kind of crazy. I did not expect to get this much done since I got sick. But with that, it is time for the reveal. So of course I love the reveal look for this video. I definitely want to wear this to a Ren fair or my next convention or something like that. But to make it a little bit more casual, I can always take off the plate armor and just wear the chainmail. I can also wear the skirt higher on my hips with my chainmail epaulets. I can wear my corset in gorget with this velvet robe and some shorts. I can wear the breastplate and cuffs over a dressy button-up and some trousers. Add a jacket to that for a little bit more subtlety, or even add the spiky pauldrons over the jacket to lose all subtlety and simply embrace the look. I genuinely like each one of these outfits, and I personally don't feel like they're too much for me, so I'm very much looking forward to the styling possibilities, and I'll let you guys know on Instagram if I wear any of these into the public.
Also, welcome to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed watching me make all of this stuff, even though this video was not exactly what I wanted it to be because I got sick and I just could not function there for a couple of days. I definitely didn't talk to the camera as much as I wanted to in this video, but I hope it was still fun and enjoyable. But in short, I am extremely happy with how everything turned out, especially the skirt, the pauldrons, honestly kind of everything, even the corset. For as worried as I was about it turning out really janky and looking awful, it's not really noticeable, and some of it even looks intentional. So I'm really glad that the corset didn't blow up in my face because I really wanted to have this full breastplate corset look together. That's really my only complaint for this build. Everything else I think turned out really, really good, and I will be attempting to wear some of these pieces amongst polite society. I don't care anymore. I also am definitely gonna be wearing these hair extensions amongst the public because wow, these are doing so much for my confidence right now. Some other people do this, so I'm gonna steal it. If you watch till the end of the video, leave a little sword emoji in the comments. Feed the algorithm, she needs to devour something, so instead of my analytics, a comment I think would be a better meal. And speaking of analytics, if you wanna like and subscribe and stick around, I definitely have more content like this coming. I definitely still wanna do a scale mail video where I will probably make even more armor because I can't get enough of this. But as always, the biggest thank you for this video and every single one of my videos goes to my patrons and especially my majestic executive producers.
I do TKD, Alcerbatum, Ren, Band Off the Yellow, Cloud Max, Marita Wasner, Villy Smelly, Stabby Horse, Ariana Trenta, Ember Creeps, Cardia X, Christina Kimtia Art, Call Me Ash, Blaze Ravenscar, Lunira, Mossy Raven, Executive Confuser, I'm not saying that name on the internet, ABW Makes, Sarah, Icegavan, Awendu, Liana, Ermler Jean, Anubix, Breeza, Sony, Brian, Phoenix, PNG Not Found, Freedom and Gus Gus, Cat, Dodo, Xyle S, Agent Sketchy, Thea Maia, Lovisa, Eloquent Silence, Inozyne, Hypnos, Katie, Sweet Winter Garden, Gravity Drop, I Hang Out with Cats at Parties, and Bean the Bread.
Hi.
Are you angry about the weather again? I can't do anything about that. I'm very sorry.